Welcome to the Intrazone Roadmap Pit Stop October 2023 edition. This is a bonus monthly show that answers that burning and spooky question in your mind. What's rolling out now for SharePoint and related technology in Microsoft 365? I'm Mark Cashman, and you may hear my friend Count Dracula every once in a while playing my Copilot here as a spooky senior product manager at Microsoft. We're both here to help set the ongoing record straight. This month, I talk with Miceile Barrett and Arvind Mishra. They are principal product managers on the OneDrive team, and they work across commercial and consumer offerings. And you're going to hear from Miceile and Arvind as they talk about the recently released features like colorful folders and new shared views like people and meetings. And then we dive into the October 3rd moment and focus on a lot of the news and announcements about what's next for OneDrive. So a lot of announcements of what's to come in October, including Copilot in OneDrive, the full OneDrive experience in Teams and Outlook, and the new Open and App feature, and of course a lot more. Beyond the breadth of OneDrive news and innovation, we're going to focus on everything that landed this month, a few related items, and the always fun teasers looking into next month. That is a much less spookier month, but I think you will like these teasers. Thank you, Count. I also think that you're going to like these teasers. This is your 30-minute podcast, maybe a little bit more since we covered a lot of OneDrive, not only what's shipping in October, but the announcements that were released in October. So a hair over 30 minutes of pit stopping, all aimed to help you stay ahead of the ever-curving Microsoft 365 roadmap. Here we go with what has rolled out in October 2023. Let us now start with employee engagement. That broad one-to-many outreach where you are ready to communicate what you've been working on for quite some time or create solutions that are for everybody in your company, or at least a lot of people. And it's in that solution area that we're going to start first. I'm very pleased to announce and share the news from the Power Platform team that Microsoft has again been named a leader in the 2023 Gartner Magic Quadrant for enterprise low-code application platforms. Absolutely thrilled to announce that this is the 5th time in a row that Microsoft has been named a leader in this space. It is really the Microsoft Power Apps offering that enables developers of all kinds to innovate and create solutions faster while giving organizations the governance tools to enable transformation on a massive scale. It's our leadership in this industry that we, of course, are very pleased to provide to you that have underscored 2 unique areas of innovation that this really covers. The first is the use of Copilot and generative AI that help you dramatically accelerate development and open up a lot of new opportunities for more productive end-user experiences. And the second main area is the advancements in large-scale security and governance, which gives you the ability to empower thousands of developers with increased visibility and control. Now, from an intrazone perspective, really in the SharePoint world, we have always loved the combination and value that Power Apps brings on top of SharePoint lists and libraries. There are many ways to build and design and configure Power Apps, of course, agnostic to the source, not only being SharePoint, but when it is SharePoint, the work that the team has done in integration to deliver this inline value really up-levels what you can do with a simple document library or a list of information and turn it into this viable business solution, which of course brings in connecting data sources, builds and extends via workflows, and a lot more beyond what it is that you can do out of the box with SharePoint by itself. And beyond the Gartner Magic Quadrant, the Power Platform team is delivering on so much value today. And of course, they have a very healthy roadmap of what's to come. The tech itself is really cool and it's deeply integrated. I've demoed it and used it a ton, so I've really enjoyed seeing how the two technologies blend together. But the real value is seeing what people build, and with, of course, greater ease over time to both design and implement without weeks of development, and the richness that clearly stands up well against the competition, especially when it comes to ensuring that you have the management and control at your fingertips. So I want to invite you to read the 2023 Gartner Magic Quadrant for Enterprise Low-Code Application Platforms report so that you can see for yourself how Microsoft is recognized as a leader, to learn more about the market itself, and even we hope to invite you to build with Power Apps. Next, turning the corner, not too far away from SharePoint and the Power Platform, is what we're doing with Microsoft Search. There's now some new elements coming when you do a video search in Bing, Office.com, and SharePoint. We know with the importance of video on the rise, it's important to more easily find videos throughout your organization. Especially if you have videos of Count Dracula counting 1, 2, 3. Yes, I'm sure that is a common video that people have in their enterprise count. And if you have other videos beyond counting, there is this new video tab within the search results that helps improve you finding and discovering videos that are going to be potentially across a lot of different places within your organization, and of course adhering to whether you have access to find them or not. The video tab will appear on Microsoft Search in Bing, Office, and SharePoint, and we're starting with OneDrive and SharePoint results updates, and there will be an updated experience coming within Stream itself at a later time. Staying with Microsoft Search for just a little bit, we're starting to introduce the new Search and Intelligence homepage within the admin experience. This is a new homepage that provides you with a single entry point to access a range of Microsoft Search features and functions such as graph connectors, user feedback, Microsoft Search educational content, and more. The new homepage will be available to all search admins, global admins, search editors, and global editors when they log into the Search and Intelligence section of the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. To reverse that so you can find it when you're in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, go to Settings and then find the Search and Intelligence page and let us know what you think. Okay, it's now time to get a lot smarter and a lot more up to date on a lot of things OneDrive. We've doubled down on the value, and it is waiting for you in mere seconds. It is now time to pause the roadmap, to pause the pit stop, yes, and chat with Miceile and Arvind from the OneDrive engineering team. So now let us take a moment to actually hear from the folks, sometimes in front of the line, sometimes behind the scenes, that are making OneDrive what it is today, and actually really truly focused on making what it is that OneDrive is going to be tomorrow. So we have time now with Miceile Barrett and Arvind Mishra, both our principal product managers on the OneDrive team, plus lists for Miceile. And I know, Arvind, you focus on OneDrive across consumer and commercial. Can we start with, besides welcome you to the Interzone, a little bit about who you are? We'll start with Miceile.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. It's great to be on here. I think I'm usually on your show talking about Microsoft Lists, so I'm super excited to be here for OneDrive. To give a little background about myself, I'm local to the Seattle area and the Redmond campus. Been on the OneDrive SharePoint team for just over 7 years now. And I've really spent the last year of my time on the team focused on OneDrive. And for those who have tuned into the list updates, then you know that my bread and butter is focusing on UI elements that are easy to use, faster to use, and simplify the way that you're interacting with a web page. So I'm really excited to talk about those updates and what they've done for our product.
Yeah, and we can just say a little secret sauce. Some of the OneDrive components are based on the Lists platform. So when you see a column and you add metadata or you work with things like that in SharePoint and OneDrive, you can know that Lists and Miceile are behind that as well. Arvind, can you give us a sense of who you are and maybe that span of commercial consumer, make a sense for everybody?
For sure, Mark. Who am I? And that's such a philosophical question. Let's see. I am also a principal product manager on the same team as Miceile. I've been at Microsoft for about 2 years, but I'm a Boomerang employee. So I was actually here eons ago. way back in the day. And I would say like in both iterations of my career here at Microsoft, I've been working in the area of storage and specifically like how we store and organize and search for things across our PCs. And so, yeah, lately I have been working mostly in the OneDrive consumer area. So if you've ever used M365 Basic, that is a product that I've worked on. I spent a lot of time on that. And then most recently, I've been also working on some of our OneDrive business features as well. So some of the stuff that's coming up in the future, can't talk about it today, but they should be pretty noticeable in the product when they eventually do ship. So I'm working on those things, and as well as also just helping OneDrive be more publicly visible, which I know we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, raising the visibility. Looks like the boomerang coming back, maybe from the outback. Can I say that I'd at least like to welcome you back, and excited to learn a little bit more about what you've been working on with OneDrive this month and recently, even if there's some of those secrets you can't yet tell us about. I want to start with Miceile. Beyond the month of October 2023, that we've been doubling down and doing lots with OneDrive UI, feature sets, the integration obviously with Windows and Microsoft 365. If we look 2 to 3 months into the past, are there any highlights that you can share about what's been released that should be, from your perspective, top of mind for people if they weren't aware?
That's a loaded question, Mark, because there's been so much. This has been one of probably the most inspiring times I've been on the team with the amount of things that we are releasing. I think the overall stat that I want to share is as of September 22nd, I think, the end of September, we had released what we were calling OneDrive 3 to GA. And so that means that some features that we've been talking about for a bit, things like colored folders, the meeting view, people view, this new look and feel, went to 100% GA right at the end of September. And so regardless of which tenant or which ring you're in, you would start seeing those experiences inside of your OneDrive. But of course, we're not just a one-time ship team. We have a lot of stuff continuing to roll out. And the things that I think should be top of mind for people tuning in right now is the push that we're having for consistency across the suite. So you'll start seeing OneDrive appearing in Teams with the OneDrive icon, replacing My Files. You'll start seeing OneDrive in Outlook, and we'll start bringing in a lot of these powerful changes to the File Explorer, where you'll actually see a home page, a For You recommended section, colored folders. We're bringing that consistency across the ecosystem. So no matter where you like to work with your content, OneDrive will always have you covered.
One of the things that I just experienced, because I knew it was coming, I wasn't sure if it was coming as fast as it was I created a new folder from within the Teams UI, so within the Files tab of a channel. And when I created the folder, it prompted me for the color that I wanted to choose, and I was really excited to see that outside of OneDrive.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. Yeah, folks should be looking for that coming as well. Colored folders, I think, is one of the most exciting features that we've built. There's so many that it's kind of hard to pick a favorite, but the colorful folders is something that I've just gotten so much positive feedback on, and it really makes OneDrive feel personalized. The other one that I want to mention too is we have released powerful AI integration into OneDrive. And when you go into your OneDrive app now, you see a strip at the top where it's showing you content that's relevant to you and your life based on the Microsoft AI on top of our graph. And so when you're looking at that, you'll see things that maybe it's something that you've recently shared. Maybe it's something shared with you, a file that you haven't opened in 3 days, but it's been shared with you more frequently, something that you've been commented in, a task. It's really kind of going through all the different signals that we're getting and surfaces the content that's most relevant to you. And so that is AI customized to you, and it shows you the information that helps you get your work done.
As we get our work done, we're going to qualify this as work, even though sometimes these conversations don't feel like work. The big focus for this episode certainly is October 2023. And I know there were two things, maybe more than two things, but two big things that happened, that there was a constant release of new features or updates into production. But also, Arvind, maybe you can start to tell us a little bit about the October 3rd event. What is that? And off of that, maybe then we can talk about some things that actually released in October. But there was a big moment on October 3rd, and I think you were a big part of it.
What I would say is it was definitely a team effort. The entire OneDrive team sort of came together to produce that event. OneDrive has not really ever had like its own event in recent times. And we thought that as we were going to market with the third version of OneDrive, it was like the right time to A, recognize where we've been, where we've come from, and B, recognize where we are ultimately going to go. And so it was a really exciting show. We had Jeff, of course, there giving the keynote, and he sort of kicked the whole thing off. And then we had a series of demos that took us through various aspects of the product that are either in people's hands or coming in the right around the corner, or maybe coming in, maybe the not too distant future. And so we ranged from showing OneDrive Gen 3, all the great features that Miceile was talking about, to some features that'll be coming out on the sync and security side and performance side that will just make people's lives easier when it comes to operating on the go. And we even had some manageability and governance features that Seisha ultimately demoed. And then, of course, Jason wrapped the whole thing up by showing off the new that's coming circa 2024, which is, of course, Copilot in OneDrive. And so it was an extremely well-received show. And, again, can't thank everyone from product engineering, design, and marketing that came together to produce it. Just to give you a perspective, we had close to, I want to say, or maybe we're just over now, 500,000 folks watch the show, during the show and after the show. And that was pretty impressive. It just shows the testament to how loved and how used and how important OneDrive is to our customers' lives. So we were pretty floored by the response.
That's amazing. So congratulations on that big moment. It was really fun to watch, to listen to. I knew some of the rumbling before October 3rd, just what was coming. And I think I just put it together October 3rd to highlight the third iteration of OneDrive. I didn't get that until you mentioned it. So congratulations. I'll definitely put a link into both where people can watch the event, the launch event with Jeff and team, and of course the blog that goes with it that literally has so much information you have to scroll about 4 or 5 times to get to the end, which is really exciting. Lots of visuals, lots of details about what the features are. If you were to take from beyond October 3rd to the end of October, Miceile, sort of the same question about what's released in the last 2 or 3 months. Was there any particular feature or update that released or started to release in October that you would highlight?
Yes, there are 3. How much time we got, Mark?
I'm going to take my hands off the wheel and you drive.
There are quite a few features that began rolling out. Just to name one of them is the experience in Teams where we're bringing the colored folders in, but that did not start releasing into production in October. So the two that I wanted to bring to attention is one that we're calling item level shortcuts, which through an audio kind of sounds like a mouthful, but for those who have ever used Add to OneDrive, it's that experience, but for a file. So again, it's really emphasizing this concept of it doesn't matter where your content lives. We want you to be able to access it as quickly as possible, manage the way that you store your information. And then the second one is a feature that I use probably 10 times a day. And so this one really changed my life and we started rolling it out to customers. It's the updated copy link flow. So for folks who are familiar with our share dialogue, there's an ability to copy a link if you don't want to send that email. Personally, that's the way that I share all my content. I copy that link, I paste it in Teams. And the update that team did, which is really, it feels like it saved me hours. I don't think it's actually hours, but it feels like it, is a single click. So you go in to the ... you hit copy link, and it is just in your clipboard. You immediately hit Control V and it's pasted. And so I love that we have that improvement out there. And then, of course, this is something that's been out there for a while, but I'll call it out, is when you paste that link inside of Teams or an email or something. We render a preview, we get the short URL. It looks like a familiar link that you know. If folks have been around for a while, you know we used to have those like 5-line URL addresses, no longer there. So that update lets me share content. It feels like instantaneous. So what a good improvement.
I used to use the OneDrive URLs just so I could make my blogs a little bit longer. I'd be like, oh, here's the OneDrive URL to get to the file. And then that's like a whole other paragraph that I don't have to write anymore.
Just getting that character count up.
Just that character count. It's all I'm after these days. So maybe a quick lightning round, and it's going to be one part to Arvind and one part to Miceile. Arvind, we'll start with you. Of anything that we haven't talked about or that we have talked about, with OneDrive as your child for this visual instance here, do you have a favorite feature that you can share with us today?
Yeah, I mean, so this is going to be a little bit geeky, but this is maybe a feature that we showed off at the October 3rd event. The Open an App feature, I think, is one that customers have been asking for a long time. And it was one of those features when someone was describing to me, I didn't quite get. I was like, oh, what do you mean open an app? Of course it would open an app, until like someone actually showed me the feature, and they showed it to me with a non-Office file type, specifically like a PDF. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is like kind of like Michaela's example of like how efficient you get with the copy link. It's just that type of feature. And so I'm super excited that we're going to be releasing that sometime, I think, in the earlier part of 2024. So yeah, I know it's a geeky feature, but it's a feature I love.
Geeky features are good, and it kind of helps me when I think of, a lot of people describe both SharePoint and OneDrive as some form of a store in the cloud, and we always focus on the collaborative aspects of, well, yes, you can put your content there, but what do you do with it? And I think this one doubles down that example that you provided of Open an App is, yes, it's in OneDrive, but you can continue to work on it. In fact, we want you to work on it in a really, delightful way. Miceile, not so much a favorite feature, but I see you do a ton of demos. You are demoing from the keynote stage. You're demoing webinars. You demoed last week for some of the secret sauce that's coming with Airlift that we hosted. Is there something that anytime you demo it, a tip, a trick, or just a nuance that you do with OneDrive where you just kind of always hear a gasp or like like somebody just wants to desperately try it when they get back to their OneDrive? Is there anything that you can highlight as a tip that you would encourage people to seek out?
Oh, yes, I do. I just realized that this was such a tip in that last session you mentioned with demoing a bunch of NDA content at Airlift. The thing that I would recommend as the highest tip or trick when talking about OneDrive is emphasizing that OneDrive is the file experience for Microsoft 365. And with that messaging, you see all of these, I call them like a fire hose of features that we're delivering. You see all of these features kind of come together with that framing. We have all of these different experiences that are just aligning towards OneDrive being the file the place for all of your content at Microsoft 365. And so that's kind of an overall thing that I think is a very powerful statement to ground anytime you're talking about OneDrive with a customer, a client, someone on your team. And then inside of that, if there was one thing that a snappy demo where I'm actually clicking through that always gets the most applause I've ever seen before, it is the colored folders. When I show those colored folders and changing them and then putting them in the tile view, and you have these big, bright, beautiful places to store your content, someone interrupted me on stage at M365 to clap and say thank you just because of the colored folders. So that is really one of those features that I think is kind of career defining for folks on the team.
I do remember when we announced golden folders. So there was an update to the flavor of yellow that we had. And I had the same reaction when I saw that was part of the plan to bring colorful folders, truly to liven up what it is that people see, but also to really, I think, then drill in, like, I put this color here for a reason because it helps me find something faster because it's meaningful to me. So it doesn't surprise me, and I love that we've covered it a couple of times. I wanted to round us out here and give you both a chance to pitch. So, Arvind, I know that we share something in common, being podcast hosts. I was hoping you could just give us the 101 on Sync Up and a little bit of how it's going since you restarted the show.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. We are trying to follow in your illustrious footsteps. We just started Sync Up. I when I say just, I think we've recorded like 6 or 7 episodes since we restarted in about June. We essentially see the podcast as a deep dive behind certain features with the individuals that are actually building said features, and so you get a little bit of like an inside of baseball look for those features, and like what was the thought process and how we came up with those features, and what maybe in some cases was left on the cutting room floor, and then what we're planning on doing, as far as like iterating on the feature in the future. And so it's been really cool. I will also say, as someone that's relatively new to the OneDrive team again, for me it's been very educational and just learning all the aspects of the product, because I have to do my homework for every episode. But yeah, thank you for giving us the airtime here.
Yeah, of course. So, anytime you want to listen to Sync Up, subscribe to it, share it with your friends, just go to aka.ms/syncup, all one word, SYNCUP. And I'm there right now. And I just wanted to highlight one other thing I'm going to be putting into this month's blog post, which is your episode. I will embed the behind the scenes, the future of file management, which means on October 4th, Stephen and Arvind were busy talking to the folks who are actually doing the launch event, I think from the launch event stage. So really fun episode. And I think it's really great to see that you've got Sync Up back up and running. Miceile, there's another thing that I just want to make sure people knew about. I know you're a part of it. I know my colleagues in marketing past, where I came from not too long ago, have been working with you to put this together across marketing and engineering. And it's called the OneDrive Customer Office Hours. Can you share a little bit of what it is and how people get engaged with that?
Absolutely. So once a month, we have a Teams meeting where commercial, education, customers, MVPs, whoever really is interested can come to the Teams call, ask questions, share feedback, and learn more about our roadmap. We structure this with a quick roadmap in the beginning, 5-10 minutes, and then we go into a dedicated feature demo feedback session, and then we end with Q&A for about another 45 minutes. Last month we had close to 400 folks attend, so hop on this call. It's every Thursday of each month. I know that's Thanksgiving in November, but I just confirmed we will be having it in November, but we will be sending out an invite for a different week. And then to sign up, we have a QR code with a URL that is not friendly to announce right now. So maybe we could link that, Mark.
Of course.
So yeah, you take that URL or the QR code and you sign up, and then you'll get the invite on your calendar. And you can ask questions beforehand, come with questions, suggest future topics for the hour they'll be using there. It'd be awesome to see everyone there.
Awesome. So hopefully with this episode, this mind share that we've had from the two of you has answered a lot of their October questions if they didn't make the office hours. And certainly whatever it is that you come across in November or any time, it's a really great chance to meet with the OneDrive team, ask your questions, provide feedback. I can tell you from firsthand experience, and sometimes even secondhand experience, that they really do love feedback and like to engage. So I will take that as to lead us out of this conversation. Thank you for your 2 minds on OneDrive, and thank you for your time on the Intrazone.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
It is always great to hear not only the progress, but the benefit and the future insights on the how and why of what it is that OneDrive team is up to. They are definitely a team that loves feedback, and that they deliver on this when responding to that feedback in a very consistent way, continuously improving the OneDrive experience, and I think I can say confidently, often delighting with the surprise of innovation along the way. Let's round out that October 3rd news. And I mainly want to call out that there are a lot of new pieces of content that you can review. The full launch video with Jeff Teeper and team, the really nice, long, and I say that in the most pleasant way. There's so much detail in the blog post that Jason Moore published. I want to highlight that I'll have that all in this month's Roadmap Pitstop October 2023 blog post edition that's published on the SharePoint community blog. But again, just to round it out, this October 3rd brought the next generation of what OneDrive is and will include with the new file views, governance controls, creation tools, and Copilot to and on your files from SharePoint and OneDrive so that you can ask those open-ended questions that are related to an individual file or get a summary of the content that will help you quickly search, organize, and extract information. And all of these new experiences aren't just in OneDrive, they're coming to Teams and Outlook for that consistent, rich experience of when you work with your files across Microsoft 365. So absolutely check out the new blog. It's called Unveiling the Next Generation of OneDrive, and catch up on the launch event, which was titled Microsoft OneDrive, The Future of File Management is Here. And it really is here. I love that phrase sometimes. Maybe it's a little bit of a catchphrase, not just for me, but for the industry. But the future is now, truly is now. OneDrive is on fire. It's very exciting to see what they're doing now and what's to come. Now switching over to another team that's been doing a significant amount of work that you might have heard about, but I wanted to highlight in October that we have marked as the general availability of the new Microsoft Teams app for Windows and Mac. The team announced the general availability for the desktop applications that include the education customers. So we're beginning to roll out the new Teams to public preview also for our virtual desktop infrastructure, VDI, and the government cloud customers, GCC, GCC High, and DoD. Yes, this is good news for those sovereign clouds. The wait isn't too long to get the new Teams. Now, from an admin perspective and from an end user perspective, upgrading to new Teams is pretty quick and seamless. There's no migration that's required. Classic team users will be automatically upgraded to new Teams in the coming months, and you can get started on your Teams journey today. Simply flip the toggle in the upper left corner of the Classic Teams app, and just with one click, you can join millions of users who are relying on new Teams to stay connected with colleagues, partners, and customers to achieve more together. Now, this is the quick 101 just to give you a sense of what is the new Teams. It's a faster app optimized for performance on multiple platforms. It's a simpler user experience that makes it easier to do more in a fewer clicks. I'll link to a great article from the design team so you can see all of the things that are new and a lot of the design principles behind it. It's also a more flexible app for seamless cross-tenant communication and collaboration. Yes, we mean switching tenants is now a breeze, truly. And new Teams is the foundation for next-generation AI experiences, such as Microsoft Copilot.
So, give it a flip of the toggle and use the new Teams today. I sometimes use the new Teams, but when I see the mirror mode, I cannot see myself, so I cannot use the mirror mode. I am mirrorless.
Yes, we get it. We can't see you in the mirror as well, but that feature is intact as well in the new Teams, just so you know, Mr. Count. All right, so get onto the new Teams and enjoy it today. Let us move to related technologies. We're going to start with Viva Goals and some of the integration that we've talked about that are now getting some new capabilities with the integration with Planner. You will now be able to filter tasks by buckets and labels and integrate directly with specific tasks mapped to specific OKRs, which hopefully will be very clear so that you can enable easier portfolio management and customizability for how your organization structures planning. I think it's a great combination and integration to define goals and then establish trackable tasks to accomplish them. There's a lot of goodness coming for Planner all up. I'm going to pause there and just tell you, pay attention to what's happening to Planner in the future, and stay tuned with a lot more to come, both for Planner itself and the great work that they're doing to integrate with the Viva suite.
Let us move now back to Teams Mobile. You can now set your out of office right from Teams mobile application.
That's right, just like the count said, you can set your oof. There it is. You can set your oof or your oo message, no matter if you prefer whether it's oof or oo. You can set your out of office from the Teams mobile application itself on iOS and Android. Previously, this was only something you could do on the desktop or the web's team client that you had to require to go do that. So give it a go. When you're oof or oo or on the go, you can set your out of office with an auto reply from the Teams iOS and Android application itself just by clicking your avatar and then clicking out of office. The next one is actually really an update and an awareness campaign. If you're aware of what the Business Connectivity Services, or BCS, from SharePoint is or was, this is something that we're actually moving into retirement over the next year or two. SharePoint has had a long history of helping users work with external data inside the SharePoint user experience. As SharePoint has evolved into the cloud-first service, so too have the options for customers that wish to integrate with external data sources. To simplify these options and to provide the best experience for these scenarios going forward, Microsoft is announcing its plan to retire business connectivity services in Microsoft 365 and focus on Microsoft Power Apps as its replacement technology. So I just want to put out the timeline and give you a little sense of what this was if you had used it and what you might be considering to do within this next year or two to plan for it. On October 2nd, 2023, we're announcing the retirement this month, and customers can proactively set properties to block business connectivity services features within their tenant if you want to get started today. At the end of October 30th, 2023, Microsoft will begin blocking business connectivity services features based on the tenant property set by the customer. In January 8th of 2024, Microsoft will block business connectivity services features in new Microsoft 365 tenants by default, as well as in tenants who haven't used the feature since October 30th, 2023. And looking into the later part of next year, September 30th, 2024, Business Connectivity Services is going to be fully retired from Microsoft 365, the cloud service. If your organization uses BCS, it will no longer function after September 30th, 2024, which includes building out things like external lists, external columns, external content types, and business connectivity services hybrid solutions. So today I want to encourage you to explore using Power Apps to replace any use that you've had or any consideration that you've had to build solutions with business connectivity services. There is not a direct migration from BCS to Power Apps. It does, though, support a modern, cloud-first external data connectivity experience. Power Apps can integrate with a variety of Microsoft 365 services and external data sources through its extensible connector technology, including SharePoint, Dynamics 365, SQL Server, and others. It also supports integrating with on-premises data sources through the on-premises data gateway. So still very possible to accomplish what it is that BCS has done for a while on premises and a little bit into the cloud, but now we're starting to move away from it because Power Apps is a better path forward for you in the long term. I want to put out a word on 5 events that are going to help us close out 2023. These are all events where you can get great learning opportunities and, of course, always great networking to mix with peers and technology-minded people like yourself. First is really happening right now. This is the 365 EduCon Chicago show. This is October 30th through November 4th in Chicago, Illinois. November 2nd, there will be a Community Days Mexico City at the Hotel Galleria Plaza Reforma. Then November 14th through the 17th is our really big, large IT and developer show. There will be both content for IT and developers. And this is Microsoft Ignite. It's a hybrid event in Seattle, Washington, and online for a lot of people to engage. This is November 14th through the 17th. Again, if you're on site, hope to see you there. I'll be at the community booth. Give me a high five, say hello, and love to hear what it is that you are excited about based on some of those announcements from the 14th and the 15th. And if you're engaging from afar and online, it's going to be the best experience that we can put online so that you can engage with the news, learn about the technologies as they evolve, and of course, ask a lot of questions and engage with both Microsoft tech leaders and MVPs that we are engaging with to help engage with the broader tech community. On November 25th, there is a Collab Days Lisbon, of course, in Lisbon, Portugal. This will be at the University Institute of Lisbon, or ISCTE-IUL. If you're in the Lisbon area, there's a great set of leaders behind that putting on a great Collab Days, a free event on November 25th. And then to round out the year, we have the European SharePoint Conference, which these days is just being referred to as ESPC, or more specifically, ESPC 23. This is November 27th through the 30th in Amsterdam, Netherlands, and there's a lot of content from Microsoft and MVPs, keynotes, breakout sessions, workshops, a Microsoft AMA, and some really nice evening activities that the ESPC team is planning. So if you are able and close and willing and wanting, there's always great event opportunities. And those are 5 I just wanted to share as you're starting to think about what might I do in 2023 before we close it out to get some in-person training, to get questions answered, and also to share any feedback directly with Microsoft product leaders and MVPs who share that same goal of learning, understanding, and making the products better over time. All right, so that was events. Now let's get into the November 2023 teasers.
Let us focus on the future. That's just around the corner of our calendars. As I hang upside down, I want to share 2 teasers with you of what is coming in November 2023. Teaser number 1. People search card in Viva Connections. I love what you can do on the dashboard of the connections, and why not make it easier to find people? Just type in Count Dracula and I will find you. You will find me.
Teaser number 2. Loop components in channels and loop embed mode in Teams. I hope that this just resonates because what it means is there are loop components coming beyond one-on-one chats. And I will share a little bit more on what that means from a storage perspective. Very exciting, and I think it's something that people have been really, really wanting based on feedback that I've seen, if we'll just leave it at that. That is it with our month's peek ahead. We'll share more details and other updates within the SharePoint Roadmap Pitstop November 2023 edition.
Next month.
I literally was just about to say next month.
Well, I said next month.
What Count said, next month. As always, we have added learn more links per feature, plus a list of important resources in the show notes and in the corresponding blog post on the Microsoft Tech community, published to the SharePoint community blog. I hope that you have enjoyed this Roadmap Pit Stop. It is time to pump the brakes
and fly around a little.
Well, if you can fly or relax a little, knowing that you are all caught up. If anything still leaves you scratching your head
or sharpening your teeth,
please send us your thoughts and comments to
the intro zone at Microsoft.com.
We're here to put our and your best change management foot
and wings
forward. Thank you for taking the step with us into the cloud
and into the very dark cave,
month after month. This is Mark Cashman
and your Count Dracula saying, get your new teams, get into the new OneDrive on the roadmap ahead.